sounds violent. Before I arrived at the College of Worcester, I thought grinding was a disturbing movement I made with my teeth when I was stressed out. However, after my first UG experience, I found out it's much more unbearable than this. According to UrbanDictionary.com, accessed on November 12, 2011, grinding is when a girl places her hindquarters on a male's scrotum area, bends over, and shakes vigorously, just like this. This is normally done to sleazy hip-hop lyrics such as "Bend over, baby, let me see you shake that thing," or "Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing." While some of you may argue that grinding is just a dance and therefore another form of self-expression, I will argue that it is an overtly sexual act that carries with it harmful, socially construed meanings such as gender inequality. In addition to this, it also allows students to cross sexual boundaries which may negatively influence their behaviour in other settings. When I first experienced grinding, it was a huge culture shock to me, and I am here today to help prevent grinding. The grinding phenomenon dominates our weekends here at the College of Worcester. However, we, as culturally diverse and academically liberated students, should not stand and passively watch as our reputation disintegrates every weekend. Today, I will start off by telling you why I feel grinding is a problem. I will tell you how serious this problem is. And finally, I will offer you some simple solutions in order to solve this problem and prevent grinding once and for all. So, what exactly is the problem? Well, the first problem is that grinding clearly crosses sexual boundaries. When two people decide to grind, a guy gets a girl's hips and places them in his scrotum area. From my experience, these two people don't know each other very well. They may have met each other in Lowry once or twice or passed each other on the way to class. So why then do they find it appropriate to dry hump each other in a crowded, sweaty dance floor? I just don't understand. It makes no sense to me. This also brings up all sorts of ethical issues, such as the issue of consent. I know I certainly didn't consent the first time a guy grabbed my ass and asked me to dance. And I know he didn't consent to the slap I gave him for trying to grind up on me. This leads me to my second problem with grinding. That is that it creates gender inequality. The fact that a girl is bending down in front of you and shaking her ass is clearly degrading. I find myself asking why such strong-willed and independent women by day turn into submissive, weak sheep by night. Is it out of peer pressure? Is it because of low self-esteem? Or is it to tease? We need to teach the women of Worcester to be self-respecting and strong-willed by night as they are by day. So, how did I know this is a problem? Well, I conducted various interviews with students at the College of Worcester. The first one was with Megan Schmesnit, a sophomore student. She said, "I refuse to go to the UG. I'd rather eat my own eyeballs than watch people grind. I didn't expect this type of immature behaviour at college. I thought it stopped at prom." I then interviewed a freshman student on November 12, 2011. This was Roberta Howe. She said, "I hate grinding, it makes me really uncomfortable. And yes, it does stop me from going to parties." Finally, I interviewed a UG worker who is at the UG every week where grinding is predominant. This interview took place on November 16, 2011 by Ashley Luttery. She said, "It's disturbing to watch every week. Sometimes I just want to say, 'Girl, you got to stop. That's nasty.' I think we would definitely get more people attending the UG if people didn't grind." Well, how serious is this problem? Like an unwanted and undesirable sexually transmitted disease, it's spreading throughout our culture and infiltrating into the younger generation. The video I'm about to show you is of children as young as 5 and 6 participating in grinding. This video was accessed on November 14th, 2011, and as you can see, it's very disturbing. So, for those of you who have siblings and cousins, do you really want to reinforce this type of behaviour in the younger generation? Is this what you want to teach your cousins? Is this what you want to see at your cousin's 10th birthday party? I don't think so. It's also so serious that high schools across the nation have banned grinding, according to the Daily Herald in the December 2011 issue. Well, you might not be asking, why should I care? Well, for those of you who do grind, do you really want to be responsible for making your fellow classmates feel uncomfortable and making them feel like they can't attend the only nightclub we have on campus because of your behaviour? And for those of you who don't grind and feel really uncomfortable with it, like me, do you really want to spend the rest of your college years watching these disturbing, demeaning and degrading dance moves? I know I don't. So what can be done to solve these problems? There are various solutions we can take in order to prevent ourselves from participating in grinding. One solution is we can get the DJ to play cleaner lyrics of songs. If students do not hear lyrics such as face down, ass up, that's the way we like to, you get my gist, then they'll be less inclined to get overexcited by a girl rubbing their body up and down them. Another solution is to play a different type of music, something like techno with a faster beat. They do this in Europe and it forces people to jump up and down instead of rubbing and grinding up all on each other to slow R&B or highly sexualized hip-hop. What is needed is a compromise. It's clear that the power here is in the student body's hands. If the College of Worcester or the UG decides to ban grinding altogether, they just won't go. They'll find other ways and other outlets to engage in this type of behaviour. Therefore, I think a simple compromise, such as where an appropriate place on a person's body is to place their hands. This will go a long way to solve the highly sexualised nature of grinding. And no student can claim he or she doesn't know where an appropriate place is. For those of you who do, my ass isn't appropriate. So, how will my plan fix the problem? Well, like all great contraceptives, my solution, if implemented, will eradicate the immature and degrading grinding trend and create a global community filled with students who are more willing to accept more appropriate matures and innovative ways of expressive dance. How do I know this will work? Well, think of how dance has changed over the years. This was outlined in howpages.com Access on November 12, 2011. First there was the Elvis phenomenon, then the 1980s brought with it dirty dancing. Finally the 90s brought the cheesy rave. All of these dances faded because people realised how ridiculous they looked. And soon grinding will fade. However, with my plan, I will just speed up this recognition process and eradicate it quicker at the College of Worcester. You may now be asking, well, why should we have to repress how we express ourselves just because some students feel uncomfortable? As you have seen from the videos, this type of dance is clearly degrading and demeaning for women. Why would you, as independent, intelligent young students, not want to be the ones to make this change? You may also be asking, well, you're only here for a year and you're Irish where grinding clearly doesn't exist. What's your beef? Well, when I first arrived and went to the UG, I was appalled at grinding, and I was appalled to see such intelligent, strong-willed people participate in such degrading behaviour. In the short time that I'm here, I want to help make the change. I want to help introduce students to innovative ways of dance. So let's visualise what it would look like if my solutions were adopted and grinding was finally eradicated. Imagine walking into the UG and not being greeted by a mass amount of student bodies sexually rubbing up and down each other. Girls, imagine being able to go to the UG and not have a guy pull your rear end into his hips and whisper, "Wanna dance?" Also, imagine girls being able to gauge how attracted you are to a guy by looking at his face when you're dancing with him. This is the same for guys. No one wants to look at the back of a girl's head all night because God knows what she'll look like when she turns around. So, today I am not asking you to be passive about the degrading, I'm asking you not to be passive about the degrading messages behind this disturbing dance. I am asking you all, as future leaders of this world, to make a stand and not engage in this type of behaviour. I'm not asking you to avoid the UG or avoid weekend parties like they are infested by crabs. I'm simply asking you to be more aware of how degrading it can be, how it promotes gender inequality, and how it allows people to cross sexual boundaries which should not be crossed on a crowded, sweaty dance floor with someone you barely know. If we can do this collectively, we can protect ourselves against grinding, and the future generation of Worcester students can enjoy weekends without the peer pressure of grinding. Remember, leave room for Jesus.